All right, so in honor of my daughter Lil, I'm gonna start off and I'm just gonna draw a circle, right? I'm gonna remember my parts of light, right? I have a highlight, I have a light, I have a shadow, I have a core of shadow, and I have a cast shadow. So I might just bring my purple in real quick to add in my cast shadow, just to remind myself that shadows are not black. So I'm gonna pull that out there, all right? Then I'm gonna add my highlight. Oop, if my white gets dirty, I can always just like clean it off over here. I'm gonna add some white, right? And then if I'm gonna go purple, probably actually gonna make that white area bigger because it's gonna include my highlight and my light. Then I'm gonna take my blue, right? Oop, I got two different blues. So I'm gonna use my lighter blue. I'm gonna start mixing that in here too, leaving that so I got my light. Bring back my white. Notice I'm going back and forth between my different oil pastels to help figure out how to create my different values. I'm gonna go for my light, right? That actually, I'm gonna take some more of the blue, start blending it out. The cool thing, like oil pastels are really mushy, right? So when you're using oil pastels, it's like a really mushy process, so that your colors can kind of moosh and blend in together. So the next thing I have to figure out for my value scale, right, is I'm letting this get darker, which is good, right? Because I want to make sure that I have this highlight on the edge that then fades to a darker color, right? So that's the thing I need to start figuring out now. What is going to be my darker color? And now I'm getting a little bit dark, so I'm going to just bring my white in. I'm going to help moosh that together. Some people like to use Q-tips. You can also use a little bit of water because these are water soluble to make them a little bit more, make them blend together better. Also, as I do this, if you notice, I'm going back and forth, I'm pressing really hard, and I'm just gonna keep going. All right, so I've kind of reached the edge of my circle there, my sphere, because this is no longer a circle, we're trying to make it into a sphere. So I'm gonna figure out as over here, so I'm gonna put some of my blue down. What if I mix some of, I'm sorry, this is my light blue and then my dark blue. All right, so I'm gonna start mixing in some of my dark blue. And I'm just looking at my core of shadow example in black and white to help me out. I really like to blend. This is probably getting boring if I had a speed camera. All right, so then I'm gonna make sure that I start blending the light blue into here. Notice this hand has it has oil pastels all over the place. I'm gonna make that darker, and as I make that darker, I gotta bring in some of the white to lighten, make sure I don't lose my other values. So probably what I'm gonna do is I try to avoid using the black as much as possible. And that's because black tends to flatten colors versus if you take like orange to your blue, because it's its complement, sometimes that will let it get darker. So I can also use some of my orange underneath there. Notice I'm laying some of the colors out. And then I'm gonna come back in with my dark blue, right? And I just realized I need to make sure that my core of shadow is probably a little bit more up here. So I'm gonna add some black up there. I'm bringing in this blue. I'm letting it darker over here. I'm gonna use that color that I have over there. So that you don't get bored, I'm gonna start wrapping this up. Like I could push it some more, I could add in some more colors. I definitely feel like the black may have been a mistake, but this is our practice. So maybe I'll bring in some more of the orange to help darken this up a little bit. And then maybe I'll bring the dark blue in a little bit more. And then with my cast shadow, I think I'm gonna lay down the dark blue first. And the whole point of this practice is to figure out what works for you and like what colors work for you. And you may wanna think about like what your final value, what your final fabric still life is gonna be like as you do this. I'm also getting like a little bit messy with my cast shadow. It's getting a little bit out of hand. So I'm also gonna add some like purple to my cast shadow to make it darker and more cast-like. I'm probably gonna also add, let's see what happens if I add a little orange, because right now I wanna push it darker. I want it to have a different quality than my sphere shadow. But if you notice, I have a sphere and a shadow.